Hey, thanks for tuning in. In this video, we're going to be talking about some premium rifle optics. You know, in the past, I've done a couple of videos on rifle scopes and optics. One of our early ones, we compared a bunch of different rifle scopes from Nikon to Redfield, Leupold, Vortex, and even Schmidt, Bender, and Zeiss. In another video, we looked specifically at low-profile variable optics, LPVOs, like this Schmidt and Bender, and we compared it to the primary arms ACSS. And what we found, well, it probably doesn't surprise anyone, is that this Schmidt and Bender is an excellent scope. Lots of wonderful features on it, and even more importantly, this scope is just absolutely crystal clear. Very, very good scope. And this one normally gets put on my IWI Tavor when I'm shooting at a little bit longer ranges. But today we're not talking about LPVO scopes. We're talking about long-range precision rifle scopes, something in the range of 3 to 18 or 4 to 16. And specifically what we're going to be comparing today is the Schmidt and Bender PM2 at 4 to 16 power, 50 millimeter objective on that. And we're going to be comparing it to the Kahles 3.5 to 18 power scope, also with a 50 millimeter objective. Now, since we started talking about the specifications, let's look at the numbers right away. Both of these scopes use a 34 millimeter tube. And as you can see, the diopter compensation, now that is that knob normally very, very close to your eye that you can turn in one direction or the other, clockwise or counterclockwise. And what it does is it adjusts the scope to your eyes. And so I wear glasses, my eyes are not very good anymore, and so I do need a good range of diopter adjustments to bring those reticles into extremely crisp focus. This is for the reticles to be focused for your eyes, not the thing that you're looking at, not the target. So both of these scopes have a fairly generous diopter adjustment, but the Kahles has a more generous or broader range of adjustment. It's interesting also that the Kahles has a lower or closer parallax adjustment. Now, parallax adjustment is really quite important when we're talking about first focal plane scopes and long-range precision rifle scopes. I'm not so convinced that having a very, very close parallax adjustment is really important, but we do see that difference here between the Kahles and the Schmidt and Bender. The Kahles has a rating down to 25 meters, whereas the Schmidt Bender starts at 50 meter parallax adjustment. We're going to test that out when we go to the range in just a little bit. I should also point out that the Schmidt and Bender PM2 that I'm going to be evaluating today is a little bit older. It's about 3-4 years old, maybe it's a little bit older than that. And I have noticed by going back out to their website in preparation for making this video, I noticed that they have now a newer, upgraded version of this same scope, and it's called an ultra bright. It's a PM2 ultra bright. And one of the big differences with that scope is that the light transmission on the one I'm using today is greater than or equal to 90% light transmission. However, in the new ultra bright version, it is at 96%. So they've made this scope, which is already an excellent, fantastic scope, they've made it even better. Another thing that I noticed that they made it even better is the magnification ring adjuster, which follows this one right over here, having a much more aggressive grip to it right here. The one that I have, a couple years older, is a little bit smoother, definitely not as aggressive of a grip adjustment. So this is better, and that new Ultra Bright is going to have the same type of magnification ring on it as well. Now back to the numbers. These scopes are both just about the same weight. However, the Schmidt bender is quite a bit longer in length. The click adjustments, well, the Schmidt bender uses MOA. It's quarter MOA adjustments versus milliradian or mils on the Kahles, which of course then uses a tenth of a milliradian as its adjustments. Those are both very, very similar across the board. And it's kind of a matter of preference if you like mils or you like MOA. And for me, I've kind of gotten used to MOA, but I can certainly I've been able to very, very quickly make the adjustment into using mils. This is interesting though. The total adjustment range for elevation, which is really the important adjustment range, is 56 MOA for the Schmidt bender. And then when I convert that total range adjustment into MOA for the Kahles, it's almost double. It's 102 MOA. So I double checked things. I actually pulled out the Kahles once again. I looked at those turrets, and these are both double turn turrets on both the Schmidt bender as well as the Kahles. They just function in a little bit different way. But indeed, the Kahles does, and I reran some calculations for the conversion, it really does have 102 MOA range of adjustment on that elevation. So that's tremendous. But I don't know that you're going to need either 102 or a total of 56 MOA of adjustment. But I guess it's nice to have it in case you need it. Now, before we head out to the range, just a little bit more information about these two scopes. Schmidt & Bender is from Germany. Everything is made in Germany. And Kahles is an Austrian scope. Everything's made in Austria. Now, there's these folks that I talked to, and one fellow was arguing that, oh, all those scopes, all the glass is made in China anyway. And I'm like, no, that's not right. I know that's not right. Here's the deal. There's an awful lot of readily available, over-the-counter, standard scopes where the glass is all made in China. It's made by oftentimes the same company, but it's made to the specifications of the U.S. manufacturer. Nightforce, glass is made in China. Leupold, glass is made in China. Vortex, glass is made in China. But it's made to the specifications set by Nightforce, Leupold, Vortex, etc., etc. But that is not the case with all scopes and all optics around the world. These scopes, these optics are actually made in Germany and or in Austria. So let's just get that out of the way. The other thing that I've heard quite a bit is that, well, you can pay as much as you want. That's just crazy to spend that kind of money for those scopes because I have brand X over here and it's every bit as good, if not better, than that really expensive one. Well, let me tell you this, folks. I have a Vortex. I have a couple of Vortex scopes, and that's not true. It's not true that they are the same quality. You can talk to, if you talk to an honest salesperson for those companies, they're going to tell you it's just not the same. And you do have to pay a premium for those premium scopes. There's no two ways about that. Now, I'm the type of guy who has really come to appreciate those fantastic optics, that absolutely clear glass that has a crystal clear view anywhere across that scope as you're looking through it. It doesn't change the color. You don't have a kind of a yellowish hue or a darkened hue, or start seeing a little bit of a white halo around the edges, especially when you're zoomed all the way up, or the bluish tone, the orangish tone. I don't like that. I like crystal clear scopes that when I turn them all the way up, I still have a nice, huge, clear view. The turrets are turning accurately. All this sort of stuff. That's what makes those scopes so good, and that's why they're considered premium scopes. So there's some truth to you get what you pay for, or the buy once, cry once type of thing. Now, let's get ready to go out to the range, and I'm going to be going through a qualitative assessment of these scopes, and I'm going to kind of narrate what I'm seeing as we're going through and looking through those scopes. And the target that I'm going to be using is this ace of spades. And I'm going to be seeing, can I see the letter A? This one, of course, in the lower right is inverted. Can I read the letter A? Can I tell that this spade is a spade, or does it look like a blob? What can I read here in the main part of this card? Can I see the crosshair? Can I see the circle around the crosshair? Can I read these words right over here? And the last little test is, can I see any of these words or read those words beneath the spade? I'm going to be looking at this card at 25 yards and at 100 yards and see what I can see. I'm going to set parallax to the lowest setting, which is 50 meters. We're at 25 meters, so probably I'm going to have a little bit of problems seeing this card clearly. But as I zoom up, moving now about 8 power. This, by the way, is a 4 to 16 power scope, Schmidt and Bender. I'm now at 16, and it's looking quite blurry. If I drop it back, my reticles are looking great. If I drop it back, I really can never read the ace or the A or those sort of things. And that's simply because I am too darn close, but I certainly want to check that. We're going to check it also with the Kahles scope. That's a 3 to 18, so it's kind of bracketing the Schmidt and Bender 4 to 16. Let's see if we can discern any features with that scope. All right, I have the Kahles 3 to 18. I'm at 25 yards, got that little playing card out there. I'm now going to adjust my parallax to see if I can ever get focus on it. Looks like I can do all right there. I could not guarantee, once again, that that is an A, upper left, lower right. Clearly I can see the crosshairs, the circle around the crosshairs at 25 yards, so I'm able to see that. It's focused well enough there. I'm at the lowest power right now, 3. Boy, I can really see this crosshair on that target, the circle around it. I am now at 7 power, and I can actually see words at the base of that spade. Oh yeah, now this is interesting. At 9, well, it would be about 9 power right now. I can tell you that that is the letter A with a object, a black blob below it, upper left, lower right. That is an A with the, I'll say, black blob above it in the upper right. Clearly I can see words. I can't read those words at the base of the spade. I'm increasing the magnification. Now it's getting quite blurry. At 14 power. Go back down a little bit. Definitely very crisp. I'm able to focus at such close range with this. My parallax now is set at about 28, maybe 27, slightly above 25. So it does have the ability to adjust parallax down much lower than the Schmidt Bender, so that's an advantage for it. And I can just about read the US sniper word along the side. Really no longer looks like a wreath around it. All right, I've got her set now to 100 yards. I'm going to turn the parallax to 100. It's exactly 100 right now. Now once again, I'm going to increase the magnification. Those reticles are absolutely clear here. Got great clarity edge to edge on this scope. I am at 16 power. I can clearly see the ace of spades, but I am having trouble reading the letter A in the upper left and lower right corners. I'll go ahead and change my parallax to see if that brings it into focus. Sometimes it does, changing it just a bit. I'm actually at less than 100 on my parallax. It is as clear as I can get it. I still could not guarantee to you that that is the letter A. It just as well could be the letter number 4. However, I can clearly see the crosshair that is drawn on that playing card. I can see the lines around it, the circle, the, it looks like it might be a wreath, let's say, around the edges of that ace of spades out there. I do not see any of the text on the bottom, but that is just tiny stuff. So it has done I'm doing a pretty good job, or the scope, let me say, is doing a pretty darn nice job. With the Kahles 3 to 18, we are on 18 power at this point. One thing I noticed is that to make this image clear, crystal clear, or as clear as possible, I'm adjusting the parallax setting. I'm getting pretty close. I need to be pretty close to 200 yards on this setting to make it crystal clear. The target, again, is at 100 yards. And maybe I need to be at about 175. I cannot guarantee that that is an A in the upper left and lower right. However, I can clearly see the crosshair, the circle around the crosshair, the wreath, and the spade itself is crystal clear, very crisp. I will note that I'm picking up a little bit of heat shimmer. It's getting later in the day, getting warmer, and that has nothing to do with the Kahles scope or the Schmidt and Bender. It's just a matter of I'm starting to pick up some heat shimmer, so I'll note that. Now I'm going to set it back to 16 to make it equivalent to the Schmidt Bender. The crosshair at this point is, I can see the crosshair. Maybe it's because I know it's there. I can see the circle around the crosshair. The wreath is somewhat discernible. I'm thinking this heat shimmer is causing some problems right now. What I'm seeing right now, the Schmidt and Bender might be just a little bit crisper, but again, it might be due to the heat shimmer I'm starting to pick up. Hey, thanks for sticking around and coming back for the wrap-up. Well, what do I think? What's the wrap-up on this one? What's the final decision? You know, I would be hard-pressed to have to say that this one is absolutely better than that one. We saw some advantages of the Kahles. Number one, it can focus much, much closer. That stuff at 25 yards was incredible. The fact that I could even see the words and so on and so forth below that ace of spade itself right down here. I couldn't read the words, but I could see that there's definitely words there. It just didn't look blurry or something like that. But I don't know how important 25 yards shooting with a rifle like these is really going to be in practical matters, let's say. But at 100 yards, and of course I've shot these things at further ranges as well, these scopes are really, really impressive. And I did not see at any case where the Kahles outperformed the Schmidt Bender at that 100 yards. And I do have lots more experience with the Schmidt Bender than I do with the Kahles at this point. So I can't say that Kahles beat the Schmidt Bender or that Schmidt Bender flat out beat the Kahles, but I think, as I noted right at the end of that Schmidt Bender is very, very impressive. My son took a look at it as well. He thought that the Schmidt Bender was crisper, clearer than the Kahles, but we're really, really splitting hairs here. And I would say that they're so darn similar that if you prefer one versus the other, you're not going to go wrong. Now, one of the problems with any of these type of premium scopes, whether it's Schmidt & Bender, Kahles, Hensoldt, which is made by Zeiss, or the March scopes that are made in Japan, I haven't had a chance to look at those ever. And if you have any experience with March, I'd love to hear your experience and observations on those scopes. But any of those premium scopes like we're talking about today, the problem is, not so much the cost. I won't talk about that anymore. But you can't get a chance to look at them in person. You kind of got to take a chance. And let me tell you, if you choose a Schmidt Bender or a Kahles, I can almost guarantee you won't be disappointed. I've not been disappointed. I now have 2 Schmidt Benders and 1 Kahles. Those are fantastic scopes. You won't go wrong either way. So if you have any questions about either of these scopes, anything like that, I'd like to help you out. Just post your question in the comments section below. Thanks for watching.